That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Comic Reviews. You'll have to forgive me, I'm still a little unsure about this new program, so I'm not going to start the show until I got someone here to just confirm that things are not screwing up massively right now. So, give me a sec to check some stuff out, and then I will start. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. If you are watching this after the fact, if you're watching it live, please leave some comments for me so I know what's going down. It's hard to tell what's happening right now. I should be live. I believe I should be live. Oh my god, YouTube updated and it's just terrible. Ugh. Why? Why does it do this? Hard to tell what's happening now. Looks good, maybe. Says I'm live on that one. Oh, it's good. It's good, Dr. Holocron tells me, but for some reason I can't see my own stream in Firefox. I don't know why, but whatever works, I suppose. Let me do this, just see what happens. No, nothing's wanting to work right for me. Whatever, I guess I'll just take Dr. Holocron's word for it and hope for the best. Here goes! Ooh my. Alright, let's go ahead and start this week. So this week we'll be talking about Darkseid Special, number 1. Secret Empire, number 10. The Black Racer, number 1. Wonder Woman, number 29. And Black Panther, Secret Invasion by Reginuld Hudlin. So, plenty of stuff to talk about tonight. Should be a good time, I hope, at least. If anything goes wrong with the stream, like, all caps in the comments, okay, folks? Thanks. Appreciate it. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. And I just screwed up my order. I do that every time. Darkseid Special number 1. Okay, so when I saw the ad for all these Kirby specials, this was easily the one I was looking forward to the most. And it is easily the one I was most disappointed by while reading it. This is one of those things where I'm like, this seemed like a good idea, and like it couldn't possibly be screwed up. But then I started reading it, and it did not impress. What can I tell you? I have a very particular thing I like in a Darkseid story. I like about Darkseid, and this didn't get it at all. This just felt like tonally off to me. This did not feel like the kind of story I wanted to read with Darkseid. I will say the highlight of this is most definitely the art. The art was easily the best thing about it. Like, I love the way Darkseid is drawn in some of these scenes, and just how imposing a figure he strikes. Let me find that full-page spread. They did a fantastic job of it. Scott Kolins did the art for this, and he is clearly the best thing about the book. This page of Darkseid just stepping on a parademon. Wow, that is imposing and scary, and it looks great. The Omega Beams look great. It's just that the story does not match. The story does not keep up, does not, how should I say this? Does not deliver on what the art provides. I was incredibly disappointed by the story here. So the story in this is about some members, or some citizens of Apocalypse who have escaped Granny's orphanage and are the resistance on Apocalypse. There's 3 of them. I kind of like that. I like the idea that they are a hopeless cause. And they've been a hopeless cause, just barely able to survive on the streets for 3 years. They move every 2 nights. That stuff I kind of like, but just the notion of a resistance on Apocalypse bothers me. I love the fantastic episode of Superman the Animated Series where, Superman fights Darkseid and just, they're both beat to hell by the end of the fight. But Superman picks up Darkseid, is able to defeat him, and throws him to his own people to do with as they wish. And it is one of the most depressing but poignant moments, and perfectly encapsulated who Darkseid is, in that the people picked him up and carried him to safety. And before they got away from Superman completely, he tells them to stop. And he says, "I'm many things, Superman, but here I am God." And that is just the most profoundly hopeless and scary and terrifying idea. That you have a guy who's just the epitome of an evil tyrant, and yet is worshipped like God so completely that even though he's done horrible things to these people have suffered for unimaginable situations, all because of Darkseid, that when he is at his most vulnerable, at their feet, they're so subservient to his will that they still worship him and take care of him. This isn't that. This is a kind of typical idea that Darkseid is just feared so completely on Apocalypse that no one would do anything against him purely out of fear of him. There's this, it's amazing. This book almost gets the wrong kind of tone, at least for me personally, within the first couple paragraphs. Alright, the metal forges in the Armageddon blaze night and day, not that any of those who work there know when one ends and the other begins. Though they are all acutely aware that some courageous person or persons has recently defaced the statue of their great leader Darkseid. Those who see it dare not laugh or even smile. The penalty, after all, is swift and immediate death. So right from the beginning, you have this notion that the people of Apocalypse hate Darkseid, that they're afraid of Darkseid. They fear for their lives in such a great, or to such a great degree that they wouldn't even bother to smile at something defacing the image of Darkseid. But I don't like that idea. Maybe it's just me, but I think it's much more interesting, much more frightening when you have a planet so completely subjugated that if they saw a statue of Darkseid defaced, they would be offended. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I don't have a great read on Darkseid, or maybe that's just too fucking depressing. But I don't know. That is something that I find much more interesting and much more just terrifying than a kind of typical idea of an evil dictator that is feared by his people, and because of that he fears his people. And so this resistance member gets captured by the Furies and has like a mother box that she's using to record her journals, unbeknownst to Darkseid. But she is brought in front of Darkseid and says to him, "If you're expecting me to cower and grovel as I'm sure Jadon did," he did, "then I'm afraid I'll disappoint you. But before you eliminate the problem of me once and for all, I've a theory about you, Darkseid. Would you like to hear it?" "I have a few seconds. Go ahead." "You are a tyrant, and like all tyrants, you live in fear that those who fear will stop fearing you. Because if they do, you will lose all power over them, and they might be able to hurt you. Any comment?" "I can only say this to you because you will be extinct in 2 minutes. Every night I dream horrible, soul-shaking visions of that, as do all for whom there can never be enough power, enough control. Unfortunately, I've never found any solution that but more power, more control. Imagine what your subjects would think if they could hear you saying that. But of course, they would never hear that. Never, never, never. They would if they heard the recording I just made." She holds up the mother box and throws it out the window where her accomplice is waiting to take it and, give it to the people. Darkseid uses his Omega Beams, however, and destroys the mother box. And so this idea that Darkseid lives in fear of his people just does not, on any level, function with me. That he would be afraid of them rising up against him or gaining hope. I can certainly see that for like Earth or New Genesis if you were to ever conquer it. But on Apocalypse, if he hasn't solidified control of Apocalypse to the point where no one will ever even think about rising up against him, like, Apocalypse should be completely subjugated in my mind. Darkseid should feel at home, completely safe and worshipped on Apocalypse, to my estimation. And so, like, I don't hate the idea of a resistance forming, because that's what Scott Free is, right? He's a rebel who escaped Apocalypse. I don't hate the idea of there being, like, just a 3-person band that's trying to form a resistance against Apocalypse, and all they encounter is people who worship Darkseid, no matter how awful he has made their lives. That would be the kind of story I'd want to see for the Resistance. Like, I'd prefer the idea that, like, they escape Granny Goodness's orphanage, deface the statue of Darkseid to, strike out and say, "We're not the only ones that think this way, we can stand up to this tyrant." And then to have every person who sees it be offended. Like, oh my, how would they deface a statue of our god? We must, scrub it off quickly. Or, for them to, like, go up to people and like, "Can you shelter us just for a night? And I know you're afraid that Darkseid may come for you." And instead of being turned away for fear for their own lives, the person immediately tries to capture them or turn them in. And then to have the situation just become apparent that no one on Apocalypse wants Darkseid to stop being God, because they are incapable of thinking of another life. They're that devoted to Darkseid. They want to die for Darkseid. Matter of fact, hold on. Rock of Ages, still rolling. Rock of Ages. Love the Justice League story, Rock of Ages, written by Grant Morrison. And in it, you get just some really fantastic storytelling with this just gigantically epic plot that revolves around the idea of Darkseid gaining control of Earth and New Genesis. So here's Darkseid. This like one of the best scenes of Darkseid ever. Here he is just beating the shit out of a parademon. This parademon didn't do anything wrong. He's just beating the crap out of it for fun, as he has a conversation with a Metron who has seen the anti-life equation and now worships Darkseid. The parademon says, Darkseid, punish me. Should I save this useless biotrash for Darkseid? Or would the torture of the gods simply blunt his skills on this unfeeling flesh? I've brought this swarming world to heel at last, Metron. Time has been engineered in your favor. The Philosopher's Stone was destroyed, as you instructed. This world is the result of that action, as you instructed. We do only as your will dictates. And my will is absolute. Yes, die for Darkseid. See what I have made. Imagine what is yet to come. Let me die for Darkseid. I take away their confusion and give them obedience. I take away their fear of themselves and give them fear of Darkseid. Unruly children must be taken in hand by their granny. Come to Grandmother Box. Hand me your children to rule with my rod. I have liberated them from the chaos of indecision. I have given them one straight path, one clear purpose, one goal: to die for Darkseid. He mentions fearing him. But, again, the goal is to die for Darkseid. Because Darkseid is. What is your question? What is your goal? What is the thing you are searching for in life? What don't you understand about the world? The answer? Darkseid is. You have something you don't understand, you don't know how to deal with? Darkseid is. Darkseid is that answer. Darkseid is unnegotiating. Darkseid is all-powerful. Darkseid is all-ruling, all-fearing, all manner of evil. Let's read another scene from Rock of Ages. Oh, Rock of Ages, Rock of Ages. I love that song. Oh no, that's them fighting Darkseid. I need to find the scenes before that. Okay, here we go. On your knees for the Master! The hour has come. He has come. Who is beyond good and evil? Who is the prophet of anti-life? Who is the rock and the chain and the lightning? All powerful, all unforgiving, all conquering. Who is your God now and forever? Darkseid is. That is a much more frightening, much more overpowering, existential, dreading, depressing threat and fear and something scary to be, worried about than this idea of a tyrant who is afraid of his own people. This story gives you hope. This story gives you fear. And, like, in the end, the good guys win. They save the day. This book's called Darkseid. I don't want the good guys to win in this book. If you've never read it, JLA, Rock of Ages, highly, highly recommend it. Probably the best story with the Justice League of all time. Let's move on to something that's not good. Secret Empire number 10. Okay, can I just talk about this? Alex Ross, amazing artist. Why did you let them put you on this shit? Why did you let them make you draw this? That's just disappointing. You know? That is just one of those things. It is a disappointing thing to do. So sad. So very sad. Oh my. I'm just checking the stream real quick. Alright, nothing's coming up. But Dr. Holocron says you can see it, so I trust him, I suppose. So yeah, Secret Empire number 10 with an Alex Ross cover. I love Alex Ross's work. I love when Alex Ross does covers, and I mean, if you ever get Alex Ross to do a comic again, like the full book, man, Grady Childs does not like this book either. I don't even. It's not even about Trump bashing anymore. It's gotten kind of beyond that. It's gotten just thoughtless. Secret Empire number 10. Okay, so here's the plot of this book. Cap comes out in this Cosmic Cube powered Iron Man shirt or suit, Iron Man shirt, and within just a couple of pages completely wipes out the Avengers and just changes reality. So that now he is in the perfect world that Hydra that he wanted for Hydra to be. And Sam is there. He somehow survives all this. As well as Bucky and Ant-Man, but we don't know where they are. So Sam walks up to, Steve Cap, Hydra Cap, there's the right word, and surrenders, saying, "Hail Hydra," handing over the last fragment of the Cosmic Cube. And the Captain America shield as well. But as soon as Cap puts the piece of the Cosmic Cube back together, all his powers immediately drained. We find out it's because Bucky and Ant-Man had a brilliant plan to go and get Dream Steve, that they somehow know about, and Kobik back. So there's this whole thing, and there's a neat little parallel between Bucky actually getting to save Cap this time. Whatever. And then reality reverts back to what it was before Cap used the Cosmic Cube, and real Captain America is back. They fight. It's broadcast on national television, I guess. But he goes to Hydra Cap goes to try to lift Thor's hammer, but it turns out that he was only ever able to because of Madam Hydra using a fragment of the Cosmic Cube, changing reality to let him lift the hammer. I'll get to it, I promise. I just want to finish summarizing the story. So he tries to lift Thor's hammer, but now that he doesn't have the Cosmic Cube to change the reality of what makes one worthy, he's not able to. But Steve Rogers, true Steve Rogers is, and we get this splash page of him defeating Hydra Cat. The day is saved. Everybody's back. What's the line here? We returned. We were restored, reborn. In the days to come, there would be more tests, more battles. But in this moment, we were everything we had lost. We were once again Earth's mightiest heroes. I've got a complaint about the narration. I'm gonna get to it. Anyway. And then there's the aftermath. We see the Inhumans being released from the concentration camp, where they're asked to sign a waiver saying, hey, you can't hold the U.S. government responsible for this. If you want, you can have a lawyer look that over, but it'll mean you'll have to go to a longer line. And this one Inhuman that we've been following is like, nah, it's fine, I'll sign, I just want to get the fuck up out of here. Government's not responsible because they signed a waiver. Let's get to it. I promise I'm going to get to it. Alright. So the Inhuman gets to go back to his little brother, and there's forgiveness and bonding. And his little brother and another kid are fighting over who gets to play with a Sam Wilson Captain America figure. Okay. Let's take this piece by piece. We'll start with Cap completely wiping out the Avengers with reality changing Cosmic Cube attack. Good drama. That is a good dramatic moment. High tension. You know, the one thing they had going for them was they had an army. He had a Cosmic Cube. So then he reverts, or changes reality to this Hydra reality. High tension. Dramatic. Grady Child says in the live comments, Nick Spencer just hates people who enjoy likable characters in Justice, doesn't he? Yeah, I think he might. Alright, so changing reality to the whole Hydra land, I guess you'd call it. Hydra America? I don't know. Again, that's a decent setting for a thing. Like, okay, yeah, makes sense. There's, you know, tension. These are the stakes. Reality's been altered now. Sam Wilson going and surrendering instead of fighting him. I mean, I might have enjoyed it a bit more if not for the reveal that Bucky and Ant-Man are there. Like, it's just, you know, it's this big lead up of panels. You take out this far panel and this panel right here, and you've got Sam going up and looking like he's about to fight Cap, and then surrendering and saying, "Hail Hydra." That'd be a high tension moment. But this is just like poorly written and paced out comic stuff, because we now know that there's going to be a reveal. So when Cap takes the fragment, puts it in the suit in the next page, and then has shock at the bottom page right here, it's like, oh, well, we know that Bucky and Ant-Man just did something. And then we get the breakdown of what Bucky and Ant-Man did. It's like moments earlier. And then we get another page and it's like days earlier, and they explain that they're going to have a plan. And then we get this flash into where the fuck it is, other world where Steve Rogers gets Kobik and Bucky saves them both and blah 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 blah. That's just bad structuring, as far as just from like a purely writing standpoint, because I didn't like the early issues of Secret Empire or the later issues of just his Captain America run. But I would say that, like, it was still, on a technical level, well-written, well-structured storytelling. It's just insulting storytelling. This is just poorly structured. This is poorly conceived. We have a moment of tension that is broken by an expectation of things going right, with a hidden plan that we don't see until after it takes effect, but not before it takes full effect. Like, okay, and this very well may be the case, but it doesn't change the fact that it's poorly placed in this issue. These pages should have been their own story in either the Sam Wilson book or a Bucky book or what the fuck ever else. Those 3 pages, Ant-Man, I don't care, should have been their own story. And maybe they are. I'm not reading a tie-in. Maybe they are. But putting them in the event, no. You know what you do? You have the shield fail, or the Cosmic Cube fail, and then this page of them coming out, and then a little editor's note. To see what happened here, go read Ant-Man issue blah blah blah. And that would still be bad storytelling, but it would at least function in the narrative of this as the moment of shock and surprise. Seeing all this stuff happen, it doesn't work. It should have been its own thing. You should have seen Cap getting the shield fragment, putting it in the thing, and then gone to this whole sequence of events, as opposed to him falling over right away. The tension's broken. Just structurally, that is poor writing. Okay, let's continue on. Dream World. Steve Kobik, he convinces her that he's been fighting fascists his whole life, and you can't run from them, you can't hide from them. The only thing you can do is you stand and you fight. Man, this is trying so hard to be like a big, poignant, like, speech kind of moment for Captain America, and it's not. Once you made Captain America a fascist, you kind of lose the right to have these speeches. Like, you clearly, especially Nick Spencer, who's like doesn't believe in fighting, you lose the right to say the only way to fight fascism is to stand and fight it. Ow, I did that a little too hard. I get impassioned about my rage toward this book. I don't know. It's poorly conceived at best. It is poorly conceived, and like. What's more is we don't really get... Okay, so it's revealed that Kubik, I'm going to go Kobik, is afraid of Steve Rogers, but she is a cosmic cube with ultimate power. I get that she's like a little girl mentally and all that stuff, but she created Hydra Cap. Why is she afraid of him? What reason does she have to be afraid of Steve Rogers? Yeah, he's awful. Sure. And you made a mistake in putting him into a position of power. Granted. You're a fucking god. What do you have to be afraid of? I'll quote T4 Star here. What is a king to a god? What is a god to a non-believer? Believe yet. Like, I don't even understand what the tension is here. Why she has a reason to be afraid or scared of Hydra Cap. Okay, so reverting the world back to how it was before he used the cube. Fine, whatever. Reconstituting the real Steve Rogers as a separate entity so that he and Hydra Cap can fight each other is a little odd, but I mean, it does give us this 2-page spread, which I feel we desperately needed. Like, this doesn't even feel like it was supposed to be in the book. It feels like fan art. So yeah, there's that. It's kind of just unnecessary comic book action, because all it is just, yes, now he can fight him. Literally, it shouldn't even really be Steve Rogers. It should be Sam Wilson that kicked the crap out of Hydra Cap, but whatever. Okay. So, Hydra Cap's defeated, and all the Avengers are standing around doing Avengery things. And they're like, I'm going to read this narration again. And when we were returned, we were restored, reborn. In the days to come, there would be more tests, more battles. But in this moment, we were everything we had lost. We were once again Earth's mightiest heroes. Who the fuck is narrating? Who is we? That is bad writing. That is horrible writing. It's all this we stuff. There's no I at any point. This is like the collective narration of all of the Avengers. That's weird. What is this book? That is just poorly conceived writing, and it's throughout the entire issue. I'll read the whole narration if you want me to, but like, let me find the narration bubbles. We'll read this. And so we fought, united at long last. We fought with everything we had. As we swarmed and piled, as we clawed and punched, we already knew we didn't stand a chance. His heart beat with the power of a god now, reality itself bent to his fury. He overwhelmed us, and with just a thought, he wiped even the memory of us away like the sand and tide. He remade everything in his image. Oh, in reality. You don't need the word it there. That's bad writing. In Hydra's image. We changed who we were, he changed who we were, what we believed, and he changed everything we had ever been, our history, our notions of where we came from. He gazed out on it and was pleased. He saw a vision close to perfection, but something was missing. Hope still survived. The scene with Sam Wilson. In that moment, facing down unspeakable evil, we remembered how he did the same, how he never wavered. We honored his legacy by forging a new path. Now possessed of the full cosmic cube, he ascended once more, becoming something beyond all comprehension. But as quickly as the power came, it slipped away. I don't even remember reading that. She swept his creations away in an instant, the old order restored. But it was who she brought with her that would determine our fate, the man who would stand for all of us, our champion, Captain America. It was more than just a battle between two men. It was a war for the heart and soul of a people. It would decide the kind of future we would live in, what our dreams would be. They were so perfectly matched, two warriors fighting with the same emotions, the same unbreakable will. It felt like it might never end. The world watched. Our champion did not falter. He was a man at war with his worst nightmare. A warped and twisted reflection of himself and all he stood for. And his struggle inspired us, reminded us that there can only be one choice when confronted with this kind of evil. You do not run, you do not hide, you stand and you fight, you stand and you fight, you stand and fight, stand and fight. Until you cannot stand any longer, this is how you are tested, and how your enemy is tested. They had come to power on the back of a lie some of them even believed, that others let them believe. And they had made us feel small, weak, fearful. They had revealed in their strength their power over us. But like he had promised, it was time to see the truth. They had never been worthy. It's when he fails to pick up the hammer, and Cap does and beats the crap out of him. The war had been won. Hope had carried the day, and what had once seemed impossible was now the moment we lived in. Kobik restored the history that had been corrupted and taken from us. But she left the scars and the wreckage, a reminder of our promise. Never again. And for some of us, the ones who stood for what was to come, our future, she gave us a gift, a journey of discovery, through the vanishing point. And when we returned, we were reborn, restored. In the days to come, there would be more tests, more battles, but in this moment, we were everything we had lost. We were once again Earth's mightiest heroes. In the weeks that followed, a surprising sense of normalcy returned. Some of what we lost, we rebuilt, and what we couldn't, we mourned. Life would go on, but deep inside ourselves, we knew none of it would ever be the same again. We would go back to our lives, our families, but we would always carry the scars. We could restore and rebuild, we could mourn and honor, but the ghosts were still with us, whispering in our ears, reminding us of how far we had fallen, how the darkness had nearly consumed us. But that wasn't the end of our story. Our, us, we, us, our. Because in the end we fought back. In the end we overcame, so we lost so much, but we never lost hope. Not once, in every bit of narration in this book, do we know who the fuck is talking. They is the correct pronoun to use there. This is just stupid. The Black Racer and Shilo Norman Oversized Special #1. Okay. This is an interesting one. This is written by Reginuld Hudlin, who's of course writing the Black Panther run I've been talking about. And in it, it's about how Shilo Norman is performing as Mr. Miracle and has a bet to be strapped to a rocket sent out into space that will attempt to be shot down by missiles. And if he can, if he can escape, then Travis Donald, wink wink, nudge nudge, who that is, will pay $1 billion to sick children. That's the bet. But as he's high up in the atmosphere, his mind suddenly leaves his body and forms a new one, kind of an astral projection, if you will, because he sees the Black Racer. Mother Box, who is the guy with the skis in Hot Pursuit? The Black Racer, the herald of death for the new gods. I'm going to need some details. Gives the backstory of the Black Racer. It's a lot of backstory for the Black Racer. It's a lot of backstory for the Black Racer. Okay, so this dude is basically death incarnate. Is that why I'm in two places at once? Exactly. It's an existential expression of your fate. The presence of the Black Racer means you will likely die doing this stunt. But if I literally beat or cheat death, does the Black Racer usually show up when you do a magic trick? No. Right. Because you're going to die this time. I like that. That was good. That was fun. I like that little exchange. And it provides some pretty high stakes. I mean, I think that all the context you need was in that initial page flip. But I will grant that little conversation and getting the background on the Black Racer, because a lot of people don't know who that character is. Even if they know New God stuff, Black Racer doesn't get used a lot. That was pretty effective use there. Black Racer's origin. He was a war hero in Vietnam, came home, saw drug dealers in front of his family home, and tried to, show them that they're punks, but ends up getting shot in the back and gets paralyzed, but then gets recruited to be the death for the new gods. So basically, Shilo Norman as Mr. Miracle goes through all these boom tubes in an attempt to outrun the Black Racer, and he's carried all across the universe and timelines and sees all kind of wacky stuff in the process. Even managing to steal one Black Racer's skis along the way. Goes through future, Commandi's time. Let's see the OMAC period. Kind of neat, fun little romp around the DC universe as he's trying to escape death. But then he ends up back where he started, looking at himself strapped to the rocket, and realizes that the trick has been sabotaged and that there should be no escape. Meanwhile, throughout all of this, the Black Racer is questioning why he's doing this, what his purpose is, and decides not to kill Shilo Norman, not to take him, because he's Mr. Miracle. He performs miracles. And Black Racer has this whole conversation with the Source. When I accepted the mantle, I was told mission is sacred. The previous Black Racer veered from his mission and was instantly destroyed. I have disobeyed you. I've come to submit myself to your judgment. Why don't you answer me? And we don't really get any conclusion on that. The Black Racer just stares into the Source wall after defying his purpose and says, why don't you answer me? That's intimidating. I don't know what's going to happen to him. Anyway, Shilo Norman manages to pull off his trick. The evil billionaire has to pay $1 billion to the sick children. I imagine the check probably bounces, since it's a Trump allegory. You know, I love that Donald Trump's just become a comic book villain in comic books right now. That says a lot, and I think it's going to be interesting, 10, 20 years from now, assuming we all survive, and see how much that sticks. Like, we've had Nazis for 70 years in the comics, even after the fall of the Third Reich, and so are Trump supporters going to be the new go-to villains for comic books? I'm okay with this. Anyway, this is an interesting one, and this is what I would have preferred they do. This section of the book right here is the story written by Reg Hudlin. This section is the Jack Kirby section. There's no middle story. I didn't talk about it too much I didn't talk about it at all, I realized, in the Darkseid story. I got sidetracked talking about Darkseid, but this is the Darkseid section of this book. And then there is a story with OMAC that I didn't find particularly interesting, so I'm not even going to bother to go back to it. You get 3 pages for an OMAC story, and then the rest is Jack Kirby stuff. I would have preferred that all of these just be the story that it's on the cover, and not, the bonus stuff, except for the Jack Kirby stuff. I'd still like that to be the bonus. Just give the other character another book. What was the other one? Manhunter. Sure, fine, give him a book, but you give Etrigan just a backup? Why didn't you just give Etrigan a book? Anyway. So we get 3 stories. 3 stories about the young gods of Supertown, and this is just little mini stories about what these people deal with as being enemies of Darkseid. I thought this was weird. Yeah, this has to be a printing mistake. So the first story we get is called Fastback Returns in the Beat the Black Racer, where he's got to survive a race with death. And then the next story is Introducing Fastback. This should have been the first one. Mistake. Anyway. So Fastback's one of the young new gods, and he's basically the fastest one with the exception of Light Ray. And he kind of, gets in mischief and stuff, and so he's just kind of a fun guy. That's what the introduction story is about. Then the race with the Black Racer is he's trying to get to his friend who is strapped to some kind of machine that Apocalypse uses to kill people. And so it's, instants away from each other, and Fastback has to use incredible speed to get ahead of the Black Racer and save his friend before his friend dies. Cool. Fine with that. That works for me. Nice, solid story. I don't have a ton to say about the art this time around. I've talked a lot about Jack Kirby's art in these books. But I don't have a ton to say about this one. And then the third story is about an attempted... Oh, no, it's not. Man, I didn't talk about any of the other stuff in the Darkseid book besides the Darkseid story. Sorry, I got distracted by that one. Anyway, this is like some guy that lives in the underground areas of New Genesis, stopping some kind of monster from attacking children. Again, not a ton to talk about with this one. I thought it was just okay. Just an alright one. I liked things about it, but nothing like jumped off the page for me this time. Didn't feel moved by this issue. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to Wonder Woman, number 29. This continues to just be pretty good. I talked about how in the last time we saw this general guy, he looked kind of like feminine. They seem to have fixed that problem, and they've also made Steve Trevor look a lot like Chris Evans. Like that panel doesn't. Oh shit! Sorry, book. That panel doesn't quite show it. Let me find the panel that totally does, though, where it is clearly. Did I say Chris Pine? Chris Pine. There we go. Tell me that is not Chris Pine. Tell me that is not Chris Pine. That's hilariously Chris Pine right there. Even more so in that panel up top. He's riding a motorcycle. Everything about that screams Chris Pine. So anyway, Steve Trevor's in this issue as Wonder Woman and Etta Candy are being attacked by assassins on the street. And this issue is mostly action. It's weird, we started the run and we got this really profound and interesting character exploration for Wonder Woman with an oh shit moment at the end. And shit went down. In the next issue, there was a fight with this crazy doctor lady thing. Then the next issue, we got more character development, more pathos, more exploration. With about the last fourth of the book dealing with an action scene that set up another oh shit moment. In this issue, we're dealing with a lot of the fallout from that. It's mainly just an action type issue. All the dialogue in this one's just about, oh, I'm this kind of character, or, oh, you can't do that to me, and it's just all these assassins trying to kill Wonder Woman. There's an interesting bit of narration here in the beginning. I thought this was kind of clever. Ever since I came to the world of humanity, my flesh has been the subject of intense speculation. They dissect my body with their gaze. The comment sections rage about the circumference of my waist, the curl of my biceps, the curve of my thighs. Many have long talked as if my body were theirs to own, a prize to be won, a golden fleece to be captured, expended, and discarded. But this is the first time a price has been put on my flesh. The theft has gone beyond eyes and minds to a deed of their hands. That was an interesting way to say she's got a price on her head. To put it in the context of people oogling Wonder Woman. I thought that was kind of clever. So anyway, they're fighting the assassins, and basically the plot of this issue is Steve Trevor is rushing to help, and they're fighting the assassins, and then by the time Steve Trevor gets there, they've beat the assassins. Steve Trevor arrives too late. They beat the assassins and now have a clue as to who is behind it. And then the plot continues forward in the next couple pages as they speculate about, well, there's a price been put on your head by this, rich doctor guy because he wants to use your DNA to, attempt to cure all these diseases he's been researching. And she's like, well, how many people suffer from these diseases? Thousands, millions? So she kind of goes in this crisis where she's like, I should let him. And that's a very Wonder Woman thing. I like that. That was a very Wonder Woman moment to me, where she's like, oh, he wants to use my DNA to try to save lives? Well, that's what I'm here to do. So yeah, I think I'm gonna let him. Interesting little flashback scene. But anyway. So she goes and meets with this guy and says, I must be clear, given the circumstances of my invitation here, you will regret any untoward maneuver. The government knows where I am. And he says, look around, Wonder Woman. We are the government. And she's surrounded by soldiers. So, like, this guy's working for the government, and it's weird because the agency that, works with Wonder Woman wouldn't let Steve Trevor or Etta Candy go with her on this mission to go meet this guy. And so it's like, oh, what's going on there? There's a little bit of plot development. But this is mostly an action issue with a little bit of speculation. Still pretty solid. Still intriguing. Still enjoying it. Just okay. Not a fantastic issue, but good. I want to talk a little bit about the flashback, because I like that. In this flashback, we have child Diana praying to the gods to, in an upcoming tournament, let her have someone that actually fights her and actually attempts to challenge her and doesn't let her win because she's the princess. And then her mother overhears this and feels incredibly sad and lets her know, I love you no matter what. And I need you to know that. And that was, I don't know, that was a poignant scene. It was interesting. I enjoyed it. It seems like it might be setting something up, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm a little iffy on whether or not that's happening. But all things considered, I thought it was pretty on point. Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this. I think I'm going to say about the art. I'm so bad, because I like to try to remember to talk about the art and have something to say about the art. But a lot of the times, if it doesn't jump out to me, I don't have a ton to say about the art. So I talked about they got the general's face, so he actually looks like a male general this time. They got kind of a Chris Pine looking Steve Trevor. Not really seeing anything about the art that jumps out to me, though. This panel looks kind of funky. Something about the stomach... Sorry, the camera's right. Something about the stomach lining here. Just, it looks oddly proportioned. Like, she's got, like, stomach pulled in, ribs out, and the breasts over that. That just, I don't know, something about that structuring looks weird. And you can't really tell because I got kind of a baggy shirt on, but like this is an odd pose, especially because like you can't see my head the way I get the camera here. No, that's not comfortable. Ah. I like to do poses. I'm talking about this this panel. Matthew Bennett just joined the show. I'm talking about that panel. That's an odd panel. Anyway, get this kind of down there. There we go. Good time to come in the show to Matthew Bennett. It's a great time to show up for the show. So yeah, I'm just trying to find stuff to talk about the art, and I found that to be kind of an awkward-looking panel. Awkward-looking stance. Oh, that's kind of neat. I like this panel. She's punching the girl, or this girl right here, and kicking the one behind her. I thought that was kind of neat. Anything else to say about the art? Lens flare. Now it really feels Star Trek. This is an odd use of paneling right here. I'm talking about this scene. So she picks up this villain who's holding a grenade, and so she throws him up into the sky. Or her. It's hard to tell if it's a him or a her. Throws the villain up in the sky. The villain's still holding the grenade and says, "Aw crap," throws the grenade up, it explodes, and then falls back down to the ground. It's just a hard section to read, because what you're supposed to do is this panel, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. The way I read it was do, and I was like, wait, huh? And then it made sense again. Once I figured that out, but it's just, I don't know, there's nothing to indicate that's how you're supposed to read it. It just kind of feels disjointed a little bit, because you're not used to going down like this. And I suppose that there is some indication, since the panels are broken by the art here, but not horizontally. But I don't know, that's still, that wasn't enough. It was too subtle a tick. Yeah, otherwise I don't have a ton to say about this. This image is kind of funny. She looks like Wonder Woman's got her captured. It's just, texting on her phone. She's actually, like, looking up stuff on the bad guy's phone, but just out of context, I like that picture. Alright, let's go ahead and move on. Do trade talk now, so, as always, I'm gonna, as now is normal, I'm gonna jump out of the interacting with the live comments, because I want these sections to stand on their own a bit better. Thanks everyone for watching and coming in live, though. Welcome to this week's episode of Trade Talk. This week we are continuing the Black Panther series with Black Panther Secret Invasion, written by Reginuld Hudlin, with art by Jefte Palo? Jeftepalo? Pretty sure that's supposed to be Jefte. Alright, so I was worried when I was going to start talking about this, or reading the last arc and then going into this. I was like, that felt like kind of a spiritual conclusion, and this is just tie-in stuff, because my problem with Hudlin's run really has been that it's not bad, it's just it's so disjointed because it keeps getting distracted and having to deal with other stuff in just the Marvel universe. And so I was worried going into something that's obviously to do with the Skrulls. Oddly enough, I really enjoyed this, though. Like, you can definitely tell this is a tie-in, so much so that, like, they didn't feel comfortable just collecting the tie-in issues in trade. So they gave you this section in the back that's just several pages talking about all the different series Black Panther has had over the years. And so you just get, like, basically an issue's worth of stuff that, you know, this is a series Black Panther had, written by this guy, art by this guy. And that was kind of interesting. It makes me want to pick up some of them. Like, who is it that they talk about? Talk about Don McGregor's run, and I really want to read that. Jungle Action sounds really cool. I really like Don McGregor. I did a trade talk on Zorro the Dailies the first year, which was a newspaper comic strip that got collected, and it was written by Don McGregor, and that was really good. I didn't know he'd written Black Panther. I kind of want to read that now. So I might keep an eye out for Jungle Action. And then Christopher Priest's run also sounds kind of interesting. They talk about it like it's the West Wing of superhero books, and that kind of sounds neat. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so this story itself, though, Secret Invasion, is just about, okay, so the Skrulls are invading Earth, as is like the big to-do in the Marvel universe at this time. So what are they going to do about Wakanda? And we see them preparing to invade Wakanda, and they're like, oh, this will be easy. This is probably the most advanced nation on this planet, and still nothing compared to us. And then when the Skrulls show up at the gates of Wakanda's main city, they find the heads of their shape-shifting scouts on pikes. And I'm like, how the fuck did they find that out? And just immediately a cyber war begins between the Wakandan cybersecurity and the Skrull. What's the word I want? The Skrull intelligence on the ship that they're invading on. Just real quick note, I really like the way T'Challa is drawn there in that bottom panel, because like he actually looks very Panther-like with that mask. It looks cool. It's that kind of perfect blend of the full face mask, but actually like kind of just the way that it's drawn looks like a Panther face. That's neat. Anyway, so open warfare breaks out, and the Wakandans are able to, just in the nick of time, take down the power on the Skrull ships and force them to land. And then T'Challa and the Wakandan military go to face the Skrulls in open battle. Which is pretty cool. Neat scene. Really great art to showcase this. Just looks really, really neat seeing them all fight like that, just in the middle of the battlefield kind of thing. T'Challa sends Storm off to go do some secret plan he's got together, and he's going to deal with a Super Skrull who has the powers of Bullseye, Iron Fist, Wolverine, and Luke Cage's skin. So T'Challa's dealing with him, trying to fight him, and he's like, okay. Meanwhile, the Skrull commander doesn't seem too worried, even though they're getting the tar beaten out of him. And his advisor says, "But sir, our plan has completely fallen apart. Our ships are down, our weapons are destroyed, and all our sleeper agents have been discovered and murdered." "You're wrong about one thing, Lieutenant. The Wakandans managed to kill our agents. It's true, but I never said they got them all." So, like, oh shit, what's going on? Next issue is just T'Challa leading the charge of the battle. So we're doing a little bit of retreading, but we're quickly back to him fighting this Super Skrull with all these superpowers. And he's sitting there thinking about, how do I beat this guy? He's got all these martial artists: Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, Captain America, Daredevil, Elektra, and T'Challa. He has the style as them all down pat, but there's no way I can outfight him. But then I don't have to outfight him. All I have to do is just survive long enough to figure out his weakness. So he's just sitting there kind of baiting this guy and, you know, taking him out one by one, waiting for him to show weakness. And it gets hit and he goes, and there it is. He has tells. He can't use all of his powers at once, so he has to switch between them. And when he switches, he has tells. A subtle shift of weight, a slight change in posture. They're small and hard to detect, but once I have them down, they tell me everything I need to know. Like, for example, when his left arm is invulnerable, and when it isn't. And he just breaks the guy's arm off? And then takes out his eye and just, you know, beats the shit out of him. Completely trashes the guy. But once he's defeated that guy, 2 more Super Skrulls show up with the powers of, like, the Thing, Juggernaut, Hulk, and Loki, and Thor, and Beta Ray Bill. And like, that was just the warm-up. Meanwhile, Storm's sneaking around with some other Skrull, or some other, damn it, ruined it. Some other, Wakandan soldier. And she says, Black Panther always knows what he's doing. He has contingency plans for every eventuality. He rooted out all of the Skrull infiltrators, didn't he? As a matter of fact, he didn't. And we get the, you know, reveal of a Skrull holding Storm at knife point. Then the Skrulls reveal that they have Storm and blah, 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 blah. They tell him to surrender. He tells his people to go home, that he'll deal with this on his own, and then he's stabbed in the back by another Skrull agent, and falls in front of the Skrull army. Continued in the next issue. So they're sitting there and they're torturing Storm and T'Challa to try to get the information they want out of them, and like, how did they figure out who the Skrull agents were, all this stuff. And so the commander just leaves T'Challa and Storm to be tortured to death, and plans on how to take Wakanda. And then 2 Skrulls enter his chambers. We bring news of the interrogations, Commander. Are they talking yet? Have they said how they were able to detect our sleeper agents? Speak up. It was their souls, sir. Their what? Bleep, bleep. Damn it, hold on. And you just get the interrogators like, something's wrong. They had some kind of voice manipulator in them, and now this guy that we thought was T'Challa is saying he isn't. He was never T'Challa. Something's not right. Meanwhile, you just have this conversation. Say again, Priest, I can't make you out. Who's that screaming? It was their souls, Commander. And there's like all this chaos going on. Skrull technology was able to mask their bodies, even their minds, but not their souls. Will you be quiet back there? Priest, say that again. Priest, say again. What the hell is happening down there? They used vocal manipulators and flesh transmuters, sir. They fooled us completely. We never even realized they had technology this advanced. What the hell are you babbling about? They couldn't hide their souls. Not from the Panther God. Storm and the Black Panther are still at large. And then the 2 Skrulls that are in his office transform. And it's actually T'Challa and Storm, and they kill the commander. That was pretty fucking cool. That was pretty friggin' cool. Just like, the Panther God sees all, Commander. Shink! I really like that, just that it was their souls. They couldn't hide their souls from the Panther God. Whoa! Get religion, folks. It's the lesson. Worship the Panther God. Hands down the best deity. He licks you. So anyways, after they defeat the commander, the Wakandans charge and take out the Skrull army. And I really love this 2-page spread that we're left with. Of all the dead Skrulls piled up and written on blood on the walls of their ship, this is what happens when you invade Wakanda. Whew! That is a kick-ass image. But Jesus Christ. Oh, man, oh, man. And that's basically the end of that story. Here's a really good example of just how important and how fundamental and how poignant the idea of conquering Wakanda is. It's not that you can't do it. It's not that you can't have defeat be a possibility for T'Challa and the Wakandans. That's drama. But when you read something like Secret Empire, which it's not great to talk about, more of a current issue when I'm sitting here talking about a trade that's meant to kind of stand on its own a bit better. But in a recent issue of Secret Empire, T'Challa's defeated, Wakanda's invaded because of just basically poor writing. It's just, oh, well, Hydra was able to take over Wakanda. They were able to outthink T'Challa and all this. I'm like, I'm not going to say you can't do that for the purpose of a story, but it has to be something relevant to Wakanda. That was just done as like flair for drama to increase the tension of the story itself, and like that's a shitty thing to do to Black Panther and Wakanda for a not good story. When you have something like this, you have the Skrulls invading Wakanda secretly, and some kind of secret invasion, if you will. It's disappointing to do this in such a way that, like, or it's disappointing if you don't have a point to them being invaded. You're just doing it to fulfill your own story. This has a point. Like, the whole point of the Skrulls invasion is to fulfill other stuff in the Marvel Universe. This makes it work and says, no. If they're going to try to invade Wakanda and it's not something that's going to enhance T'Challa's character, Storm's character, Wakanda's character, we're not going to do it. So yeah, surprisingly good tie-in. I quite enjoyed the Civil War tie-in for Black Panther, and the Secret Invasion tie-in was alright too. Mainly for the ending. It's only 3 issues. How much should I pay for this? $13. I think that's worth it. And it gives you kind of like a suggested reading for Black Panther in the future. Again, I want to see if I can find Jungle Action, because that sounds kind of neat. And maybe Christopher Priest's run, though I've heard mixed things about that, so I need to look into other reviews of that are not, in a thing that's trying to get you to buy Black Panther stuff, but we'll see. Yeah. Got, I think, 2 more volumes of this run of Black Panther to get through, and then, 3 volumes, let's call it. One of them's really short. And then we'll be going on to other stuff. So, thanks for watching Trade Talk. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Bye. And for everybody here in Comic Review Land, how's it going? Red's here. Hi, Red. Not many people showed up tonight. I'm not sure what I did wrong. Meh. Shit happens. Shit happens when you party naked. Okay, well, not a ton of people in the comments, so I think I'm just gonna call it. Everyone, thanks for watching Comic Reviews. Bye. I don't know how to stop this.